You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? Why so serious? Put on a happy face. In Joker, Joaquin Phoenix brings a definite new take on the clown prince of crime. Could he be the best yet? This character piece is very dark and very gritty, and Phoenix gives us just a really deep dive into the mind of Arthur Fleck and how he becomes Joker. His performance is haunting. I mean, I was sucked into all the nuances that he brought to the character, from the little eye movements to the finger twitches, and then just to the flamboyant and extravagant full body movements that he did. Now, honestly, I was hesitant going into this because I hold Heath Ledger's Joker up in such high regard that that's like the pinnacle to reach for. But in this, it's kind of hard to even compare the two because they're way different movies. And Joaquin Phoenix, though, within minutes of the film opening, I was sucked in. I was sold on his performance, who he was portraying, and why I needed to keep watching. While the film is set in the late 70s or the early 80s, the social commentary really resonates with what's going on today. They address the ever-widening gap between privilege and poverty, and how that affects us as a society and what we're doing about it and how we're reacting. While Phoenix is the one driving this film, there are some really great performances from the supporting characters as well. I mean, we have Zazie Beetz, who is playing Fleck's neighbor, and she is really good. I mean, she's understated, she's kind of quiet, but the emotion and just everything that she does with her eyes really conveys a whole lot. We have Robert De Niro, who plays the late night show TV host who Arthur idolizes. And then even you have the slightly off relationship between Arthur and his mother, who's played by Frances Conroy. All of these characters really work together to help shape who Arthur is, and also how we see him as an audience and how he sees the world. Joker shares feelings from some other dark and gritty movies like Taxi Driver, American Psycho, and even one that we don't talk about. If you're going into Joker looking for a comic book movie or even a superhero film, you're going to be really disappointed because that's not what this is at all. I mean, yes, we have the Joker, who is from DC, who is part of the Batman universe there, but really that's where it stops. I mean, it is truly the character piece and the character study of Arthur Fleck and his progression into Joker. The visuals of this film, too, are just really good. I mean, we're not relying on what seemed like a lot of special effects or any special effects. Everything was just down to the setting, and it really transported us into the era, and you really get to see just a good look at Gotham City on the brink of collapse. The pace of the movie is slow to start. I mean, it's really, really patient, but it needs it. Because as it is a character study and it is just a character-driven film, we have to have the time to breathe, to be sucked in to Arthur Fleck, to just see everything about him and just really get hooked. And honestly, that happens because Phoenix is just so good in this. I mean, he really brings it, and even though the pace of the film, as it's not painfully slow, but it is really, really patient. I mean, you also watch it though with this utter sense of dread, of foreboding, like you know something terrible is gonna happen, but you're not quite sure when, and you're really not sure how it's gonna happen, but you get this sense of, yeah, something is coming, and am I gonna like it? And as the tension builds and builds, it really led to a satisfying conclusion for me. As I've said, the movie rests solely on Phoenix's shoulders, and luckily he doesn't let it falter. The story itself, I wouldn't call it overly complex, but that's not a knock against it because it doesn't need to be overly complex because we have a complex character, and just everything that makes him tick is really the part that you're wanting. I mean, we're watching his life and we're watching the things go around him. We're watching him become just the villain that we know, and that's, I think, enough. Admittedly, this is not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but if you are into character-driven pieces and compelling storylines, then you're probably going to want to check Joker out. There's no sex, but there is some brief sexual imagery, there's a lot of profanity, and some brutal violence. I give Joker 5 out of 5 couches. What is your favorite Joaquin performance? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.